Welcome to Private Banking Strategies Podcast with Vance, Lowe, and Seth Hicks, your secret weapon to protect your assets and never have to start over financially again. Vance and Seth help high net worth individuals, families, business owners, and investors structure an asset-protected, tax-free fortress for their families. Learn how to keep what you earn and use the velocity of money to create your own private banking system. Join us on this journey as we explore the secret strategies of the rich and political elite and help you take total control of your financial security. Now, on to the show.
Hello and welcome to Private Banking Strategies Podcast with Vance, Lowe, and Seth Hicks. Vance, how are you?
I'm doing great today. You know, there's a lot to be thankful for out there these days.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited about our topic today. We're going to talk about how to crush it with private banking strategies. One of the primary motivations and goals of every client that we have is they want to be financially secure and they want to have financial freedom. And there's a number of strategies and gurus and people that promise pathways to achieve financial freedom, but many times they're not really good paths. But we find that the number one goal of our business owners, our entrepreneurs, and all the heads of the family, they want financial freedom. Wouldn't you say that's the case?
Yeah, it's everyone's goal to be secure. One of the things I find in today's society that is different than in the past, there's basic needs that make up the human character. One is safety, shelter, food, and clothing. Those are the very basic needs of the human being. And in our society today, we don't really have to worry much about that. The only time maybe we would is if we lost a job or a loved one or something like that where we didn't think we could carry on our normal life. So we now get into the things that you just said. What do we worry about these days? What's our goal these days? And it is to make ourselves financially secure. My whole career in dealing with people, helping to find money, helping them to set up through retirement or what we call a lifestyle change, was the fear of living longer than my money. Always. I don't care how wealthy somebody was, that was their main concern. Am I going to outlive my money? You know, do I have to change my lifestyle or whatever else? And so I think we've got some things that we should talk about because our banking system in the United States doesn't want the average person to be secure. They want them to be dependent on government social programs and to spend their money so that the banks get richer. And so that's why we're seeing kind of the success that we are and teaching the things that need to be taught that aren't taught in the education system anymore.
Right. And that's kind of what I was referring to when I said, you know, there's a lot of people out there, so-called financial gurus or investment brokers who are promising some type of financial security and financial freedom. But question is, do they really deliver? And what we found is that the slow and steady, the conservative, the risk-free applications of what we do are proven success strategy. Swinging for the fences and trying to hit home runs, everything you do, and make the most interest returns in the markets and equities generally proves to be a failure. Wouldn't you say?
I agree with that. It's like mining for gold. You know, if you work hard, you can find a gold nugget. And we like to kind of consider ourselves as that gold nugget. Because what we have to tell people and teach people are based on absolute, proven, sure fact versus the fad of the moment, so to speak. That's one of the things that we run across all the time. Well, that seems to be working, so how can we capitalize on it? And so somebody tries to capitalize on a theory or a system so that they can make money selling products. And that's what we find out there 9 times out of 10 is that these people are doing what they're doing to sell products so that they can make money. If the client does any good, it's up to them. So I think that's one of the big differences that we bring to the table. What is it? If you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And we teach people how money works and how it multiplies. So, yeah.
Right. And teach them how to take control of their own financial security and financial freedom through the private banking strategies and actually implementing those rules and maintaining disciplines that we teach. It's not offered out there in the marketplace. Some folks that have infinite banking concept practices, they don't necessarily teach people how to bank. They don't teach them the fundamentals of actually how to accomplish this. So we're going to discuss some fundamental cornerstones of private banking strategies today and just dig into some of these principles and help illustrate some concepts that may be familiar to some of our audience if they're clients, and for some of those who are not clients and just checking out the concepts we're describing, they may be foreign concepts, but we want you to put on your thinking cap and learn something new.
I have taken some time because I want to stay current with what's out there in the marketplace, what's on YouTube, what is the hype. Everybody knows and has heard us and many other people talk about the herd mentality. And there's always a rage. There's always a popular thing to be doing. And when you listen to us, we really go against that grain because if it's popular, if it's something that everybody's doing, it's been proven out through history that it's the wrong thing to be doing. And I just want to catch people up on one of the big rages that's going on, especially in my neck of the woods. There's a big group and a big drive out there to tell people that they have a private banking or actually a infinite banking strategy, and they use an indexed universal life product. Well, right there, you have to know that they don't know anything about private banking or the infinite banking concept. If they went through that course, if they went through how to set that up properly for clients and to protect clients, they would know that that's the one product that they can't use because it's not guaranteed. And they try to get around that it is guaranteed, it's this, it's that. No, it's the rage of the age. And I haven't had one group of people out there show me the actual successes. I've had this for a lifetime. I've had this for 30 or 40 years. I'm now going to take income off of it. That's where it's lacking. There is no income, quote, off of it. Now, if you want to buy life insurance, you want to do this or you want to do that, that's one of many products. Okay. But I've seen the devastation that it's made. I've still got living clients that we could bring on and interview all day long how devastating universal life is and has been for them.
When you say guaranteed, Vance, describe that as far as a guaranteed whole life insurance policy versus indexed universal life.
Well, in the banking context, folks, because that's what we're all about. We're not solving our clients' death benefit needs, though it will come with a minimum amount, okay? Because we want to grow a bank. It's all about the guarantees. If I put this in today, what's the value 10 years from now? There's guarantees in these participating mutual whole life contracts that we structure as a bank to know what that end number is. What we won't know, and we tell right up front, are the profits. The profits are paid to the policy owners. Universal Life have no profits. Okay, they try to base it off of an index. There's no guarantee. There is a minimum growth factor in that everybody confuses to be guarantees, but it's still a term contract and the cost of the insurance increases every single year. And the experience that the insurance carriers have will affect the cost of the insurance portion. So if it's solved based on life insurance and the cost of insurance goes up, their costs are going to go up. In a whole life contract, it can't. The risk is on the insurance company. All you have to do once it's issued and everything is clear, your part's paying the premium. Well, in banking, it's not paying the premium, it's capitalizing. It's putting money in so that you can stockpile it and have it stay pace with taxes and inflation so that you can use it to finance your own way through life. I hope that was clear.
Absolutely. I mean, indexed universal life policies come with no guarantees, and there's often gotcha moments in the contracts later on in life. We've heard horror stories, like you said. People have come to us who had their policies lapse because they were too late in a payment, and all sorts of other horror stories which effectively negate the original plan for financial security and financial freedom. Whereas the mutual indexed whole life insurance contracts that we structure with select companies are fail-proof, and they've succeeded through the Civil War, the Great Depression, every other economic downturn. They've paid dividends, they've grown, and that will continue. They're the safest place to bank.
So people, history repeats itself, okay? In the United States, we came from nothing, a brand new company, to the most powerful country on the planet in a 100-year span. And we didn't have any banks here. And the banking cartel in the world saw how ripe America was and forced its way into America and literally now controls our country. Back in Jackson's era, the early 1900s, where they came in and introduced the banking concept. It was rejected outright by our president, saying if this were to catch on, it will be the demise of our country. They came back and had an ultimatum and literally blackmailed our country that you're going to do this or we're going to crush you right now, and have been running our country behind the scenes. If anybody really wants to understand that, if you've listened to our podcast in the past, you can find this history. You can find what we're talking about in a book called The Creature of Jekyll Island. It'll tell you how the Federal Reserve was born and all of its history. It's a great book to read, and you need to be armed with that stuff. And so there's some money laws that we want to get into, but this nation is all about independency, being able to live your life, run your life the way you want to, and as long as it doesn't infringe on other people. We have the right to go through and live life the way we want and not be controlled. So you just asked me the question, is this first money law? This is a money law that we cannot ignore. If I have a client say, well, I'm not going to do that, I have to end the discussion right there. Then we're not going to see the improvement, because it's a mathematical proven formula to be better off on a regular basis. If we miss that, then we can't advance. And a lot of people have heard this law and they have made a decision, well, I really can't live it, because what if I have an extra expense? What if I have this, or what if I have that? And again, we're talking about the 10% law. And a lot of people who are religious, this is practice. This has been since the dawn history of man and religion, to pay a tithing, or what most people consider as a 10% rule in law. And there is reasons for that. I'm not saying to stop that or anything else, but what I'm saying is to take that power, that example, and we have to set aside and pay ourselves 10% of our take home every single month, up front first, before anything else happens, and we live off the difference.
Did that story feel like it was about you? Do you feel like you are generating a lot of revenue, but are not moving forward as fast as you would like? Do you feel you should be making more progress toward your financial goals? Do you feel stuck? Let us help you get unstuck. Are you ready to take action and get your own private bank? Please visit us at www.privatebankingstrategies.com.
So Seth, I think we take a few minutes here and give us an example, because people go through that. So what are reasons that a client ends up taking that back and not paying themselves the 10%?
They may have cash flow crunch. They may not have implemented the discipline.
It's a discipline, are we living within our means? And that's what this 10% law is all about, is to keep us living within our means. So there's a typical example, and I faced this throughout my lifetime, and you have, and all of the people out there, our clients will all tell you, yeah, we've all faced this. I get my take home, and I've pretty much patterned my life after that. I want to save, I want to grow, so I try to make sure all my bills are a little bit less. But if I pay myself, let's say I bring in $10,000 a month after taxes, the 10% law is for me to set aside at least $1,000 or more, but not 9%, okay? There's a magic thing there of success. You've got to follow the principles to see it, and it's proven out. So I set at least $1,000 aside. Now I have $9,000 to live on. So I start paying all my bills and my stack of money starts dwindling and I get down to my last bill, but I'm out of money. And there's a bill due today and it's for $1,000. What do people end up doing?
They pay the bill and they don't pay themselves.
Yeah, they go and they take that money back and they pay the bill. Here's why we're here. This is the exact reason we're here to teach people. In Nelson Nash's book, Becoming Your Own Banker, he tells us all about imagination and the way we think. We're here to teach you how to think differently about money. This is a perfect scenario, perfect situation. We think we're out of money, we're upset, because life's happening and something unplanned for that we have to pay for. The whole purpose of us paying this $1,000 is to put it to work. We don't want to hide it under our mattress. We're not going to burn it. We certainly don't want to put it in banks and not get anything for it. So we want to put it to work. So if we split ourselves, which we need to do, there are us who controls our destiny, our way of life, and our household. But there are two people in the mirror, if we're married, we look at every morning. Those two people are different people. They're living in our life, our homes and everything, but those are the people who are out of money. If you look at it kind of separately, you have $1,000 that you want to put to work. The guy in the mirror's out of money and needs $1,000 right now. Don't you think the two of you could get together and come up with a loan and a repayment schedule that everybody could live with? So Seth, the question I have, when everybody nods their head up and down, the only thing left is, do you want your earnings high or low? Well, everybody says high. We could set up this loan and charge 25% interest or even 50% interest and double this loan, this investment every 2 years without any income tax and still have a payment we could easily afford that still fits in that split of things where, we're not too tight. This is what we're talking about, folks. It's really this easy to put what we're going to call a banking equation. Well, I think we'll get at that in one of our podcasts or whatever. But the 10% law, if we could do that, okay, and let's say our interest, we've done that with our total monthly expenses and we get it back every month. And let's say that's $100 and something. What I'm seeing typically with all our startup clients is that they're better off by $4 a day. Seth, we got to tell the people how huge that is because average Americans aren't even better off by 5 cents a day. This is the secret of the wealth of money, is to be better off every single one. And that's what 10% is all about. Without this foundation, without this background, we're kidding ourselves. We can't take the next step.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think before people implement the discipline, they just take that last money in the pot and pay the bill, and they never pay themselves. So once you've got them paying yourselves and you actually can redeploy the money, whether it's expenses or investment or whatever it is, you've got the discipline in motion to practice getting the money back. And I mean, that's the fundamental concept of what we're talking about with the 10% rule, right?
Yeah, and it's the first step of independency, okay, is to be able to be better off. You're moving in the right direction. It doesn't matter where a person starts. They could be making minimum wages, but if they're willing to do this, they'll be completely financially independent in less than half of their lifetime, okay? They won't be wanting, so to speak. And I think it goes with business. If I can be independent here, I'm working for someone. I've got some fantastic ideas. Could I go into business for myself, so to speak? Again, it couldn't happen without that 10% law. Some people try to put it in their 401k or in qualified assets and they totally lose control of that money. We're not saying that. Do not do that, as a matter of fact. People who invented that wish they hadn't. And you can tell them about that in a minute. But one of the things that will help you, especially if you are running your business or think about you want to start your own business, is to read a book called Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash and read the famous grocery store story. So tell us why that might interplay here.
Sure. Yeah. There's an example that Nelson describes about being a grocery store owner. And he poses the question, if you're the grocery store owner, should you have your wife and kids come and load up the shopping cart and go out the back door and load up your truck? Or should you go through the front checkout and actually pay for all of the food and things that you need? And he breaks it down, effectively demonstrating that for a can of peas, you would have to sell 17 cans of peas to make back the cost of taking one can of peas out the back door. So he effectively demonstrates that you don't steal the peas. You pay for your peas. You pay for your stuff. You go through the front door. And what does he mean? He means you pay yourself. When you take money out of your private bank to purchase a car, to refinance a home, to purchase a credit card debt, to meet emergency expenses, that you set up a loan payment transaction where you pay back your own bank every time, all the time. And that's what people in the infinite banking world called don't steal the peas.
Seth, you stumbled on something, you said something that people spend a lifetime trying to find out, and that is what's called the value of money. When we let go of hard-earned money, which is called principal, by the way, we no longer value that money. We say, no, this money is no good to us any longer, so at least we can get an item for it. And then that money's gone forever. And since money is our source of trade for product and services, we've got to go back to the drawing board. We've got to go back to work. We've got to go through all the hassle of earning the money, maybe working for someone else under their control and their thumb. We got to pay taxes on all the money, make everybody else profit, just to replace that money that we let go. And are we going to let go of it again? This is why so many people are listening, is they want to get out of that rat race. So we're telling you the secret of it right now, folks. It's not hard. It's a little bit of discipline, and it's letting go of the way you used to think about money and holding on to some of the things that are true about money. And you're not going to find that in education with our social education or banks. We'll teach that to you, and we'll show you books and things where you can go to learn this. Knowledge is power. So yeah, that 10% law is absolutely critical, folks.
And let's transition into another money law, which is you've mentioned principal and never spending principal. That's another money law that Nelson describes. What does that mean, never spend principal?
You know, throughout my whole career as a money manager, I could never really grasp that. That's one thing I couldn't grasp, other than me saying, okay, well, we're going to call principal our investment money. That is not the case, folks. The truth about money is principal is money that you earn on your own and that you free up from entanglement with the governments or people that you owe. So your take-home money is your money, and that is principal. The conflict was, well, if that's principal, the Warren Buffetts and all the successful families and people who just have money flowing say never ever to spend principal. They have two rules. Everybody laughs about this. Rule number one, never ever ever spend principal. Rule number two, never ever break rule number one. Why would they say that? And people laugh and go on and spend principal. So in Nelson's book, he tells us we can't do that. And folks, you can't. You can use money all day long. There's not a whole lot of difference other than getting it back. And society today, since banking has taken over everything, they have taken the banking equation out of our life. And we have to show people how to put that back. That's the only way we can get back the principal. But guess what? Let's ask the public right now. If we could show you a way to get back 100% of your monthly expenses every single month without risk, and it sounded and worked logically, would you be better off? That's what we do. We can show people how to use money and get it back, because that's what banks do.
Right.
Seth, I think you'll agree with me. The banks always get the money back no matter what. Well, except for their default loans. They got to charge extra interest and extra whatever. No, banks always get the money back. through collateral or whatever else. And that's the problem. Collateral never ends. When you go to a bank, especially if you're a business, okay, you need a $10,000 loan. Well, we want you to sign over your inventory. We want your personal assets. They just keep going. They'll get $1 million worth of collateral on a $100,000 loan.
That's a great point, and we're going to dig into that a little bit further in the next sections of podcast. You can go to privatebankingstrategies.com. That's privatebankingstrategies.com. And on our website, Vance and I have offered you a free book called What the Banks Don't Want You to Know. Their secrets and wealth secrets. And we offer that book to you in a PDF or an audio format so you can read it or listen to it on the go. You just put your name in and your email, and then we will keep you updated with valuable content, including these podcast releases, and more importantly, a link for an exploratory call with Vance in the event that you want to dig down deeper and start your own private bank. So we're going to continue our discussion, Vance, in the next section, part 2 of this, how to crush it with private banking strategies. We're going to continue to discuss some money laws and give some examples of how people can apply this and crush it, hit the home run that we're talking about. So any closing remarks?
No, I just hope people are realizing and seeing that there is a better way to handle your money. It's an easier way. You don't have to sacrifice your lifestyle. And I just wish that instead of our country being as greedy as it is because of bankings, that it would be more honest and share knowledge with people. And people, it's your responsibility to gain the knowledge. So we're offering some here. We hope you'll take advantage of it, because this will change your life. This will really make you more independent and more private with less taxes.
Come back and visit with us again in the next part of this particular podcast, and we'll see you there.
Did that story feel like it was about you? Do you feel you should be making more progress toward your financial goals? Do you feel stuck? Let us help you get unstuck. Are you ready to take action and get your own private bank? Please visit us at www.privatebankingstrategies.com.
Thank you for listening to the Private Banking Strategies podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available.